Hello everyone, and today is going to be a little bit different from what I usually do. Although if you've been around with my channel, I've done it technically before. Today I'm going to take, Toji Fushiguro from Jujutsu Kaisen and put him up against every single SCP from SCP Containment Breach, particularly the video game. So any SCPs that are outside of that video game, basically that haven't shown up in the video game in some form, will not be in this video. Also, I'm not including ones that technically don't fight, so I'm not including the items, so yeah.
First, before we actually get into the characters themselves, we gotta put down some rules, and that being, number one, we're only using the base versions of the SCPs, so none of the extra godlike stuff, especially looking at U-173 or 096. All of them have some sort of god version or weird busted thing that's about them. Even the base forms have something weird about them, but we'll get into that. 2. Both sides are going to be taking each other completely seriously, as no oh, that looks like a statue, what is he gonna do, or whatever. Both of them are going straight for the kill with each other without even asking, just pure death battle style. And number 3, I'm not gonna really include any feats that can be interpreted in different ways or are kind of outliers. So you'll see when I bring them up or whatever. They have them both kind of on both sides, but I'll bring them up, trust me, and give you guys a little context, but they most likely won't be included, but I will talk about them, so yeah. So, let's start it off with, of course, the challenger, Toji Fushiguro. Let's talk about the main way he gets his ability, which is through this thing called a Heavenly Restriction. What it specifically does is that it gets rid of his cursed energy, which is the main thing of the verse, and replaces it with amazing physical prowess. It enhances his strength, speed, durability, and all of his senses to the maximum they can be as, well, a human, I guess, in this case. Since his powers are based off of physical prowess, let's start off with power, which obviously he would scale above characters like Yuji or pre-awakened Maki. Yuji, on several occasions, has been shown to just literally throw cars, and Maki, after awakening, has said, at least more than once at least, to be as strong as Toji, and recently in the manga was actually able to throw around Sukuna, if that helps. She was also able to tank this full power attack from Cursed Nyaoya at full speed, who is way faster than he was before, and apparently can go hypersonic, and was able to react to him. So, yeah, that's for speed, I guess. Speaking of speed for Toji, he should also scale, obviously, as I said before, above pre-awakened Maki, who did this feat, which have been scaled somewhere around hypersonic as well. So, he is consistently hypersonic at least, especially, with awakened Maki feats. That's pretty much all the stats that you really need for this. So we're going to go on to his equipment, that starting off with technically his inventory curse, which holds all of his, cursed tools, which apparently they both have a bond with, so people like Gato himself cannot just take the cursed spirit away from him because of that bond or whatever. It's like a pact or something like that. Going immediately on to his cursed tools, first we got Split Soul Katana, which essentially allows him to cut someone's soul once they get struck with it. There's the Inverted Spear of Heaven, which allows him to essentially nullify any cursed tool or cursed technique that comes in contact with it, and also the Chain of 1,000 Miles, that as long as the end of it is not visible, he can just extend this thing out for as far as he wants. But he keeps this in the inventory first, so he can just pull this out as much as he wants, and can even attach it onto the inverted spear. And lastly, a tool that technically he had originally, that being Playful Cloud, which essentially scales up to the person that uses it. It's basically a cursed tool that's centered around pure power, essentially. The first fight is going to be between Toji Fushiguro and SCP-173, also known as the Sculpture. SCP-173 is essentially, if I could just boil it down, a weeping angel, but without it being able to send you into the past. Instead, it just snaps your neck, which, speaking of, let's go into his physical capabilities before we go into his actual normal abilities, which, one, he can snap a human neck. So, yeah, that's a thing he can do. So, bam. Apparently, he can also generate enough speed to destroy large buildings with this scale right here, and is able to fight and beat up SCPs like SCP-106 and 682. So, yeah. He has a subsonic feat, which, he was able to snap multiple people's necks in his containment chamber before they were able to fully blink. So, yeah. And of course, he has high hypersonic speeds, as he was able to travel across an entire continent within a couple of minutes, and was able to kill someone within 10 milliseconds with their telekinesis. So that's just insane. Going on to his abilities, apparently he can exude blood and feces, which is just disgusting, but he can also choose where they show up at. He can either even do it to, technology to, disrupt it, or even change its, properties so it can be like acid, which is just yuck. He also has telekinesis, which means that he doesn't have to make physical contact to snap your neck. He just needs to kind of show up in your general area, and then bam, neck snapped. He is apparently extremely stealthy, as he was able to take down a bunch of MTF without them even noticing that he was even killing them in the first place. He's able to piece himself back together after being cut into pieces, and is even able to essentially continue walking around with just his rebar frame. So who would win this fight? Now, although obviously 173 is, much faster, but Toji should scale to something like this, so the speed difference shouldn't be too much of a difference, although if you do think that 173 is much faster than, Toji can predict with this, then 173 most likely wins. But if you don't think that, then he would be able to react, look at 173, and then cut him up with the Soul Split Katana, which he hasn't shown to be able to just regenerate from, so yeah. Next SCP is SCP-096, and this might actually be a fair fight. Of course, Shy Guy has superhuman characteristics and apparently a form of immortality, but based off of this alone, it's most likely just his regeneration that he has, and not really immortality, but kind of a form of one, I guess. And of course, he has regeneration, which he had his torso and organs spill everywhere with blood, and yeah. Although we don't know how long the time frame took, so it's probably not battle-oriented, so yeah. He's got body control, which allows him to open his mouth a lot wider than a normal human, which is pretty much it. He's got some sort of sensory ability, which allows him to sense people that look at his face, which I'll talk more about later when it comes to his feats. And he's also got a berserk mode, so yeah. We also got self-sustenance, which he can just stay in a steel box for like an extended period of time without water, food, and doesn't really need to sleep apparently, as he just paces back and forth in his chamber. He has supernatural willpower and apparently has complete pain immunity, as you can see here. He doesn't react to any pain that's inflicted on him whatsoever, so yeah. Next is resistances, as he has temperature manipulation, as he was able to go very, very deep underwater and it's very cold there, as well as being on a snowy mountaintop for a long time until he got captured. And he also has sleep and poison immunity, technically, as he is completely okay while getting hit by tranquilizers and nerve agents. It was also able to regenerate from 682, ripping it apart and being doused in this acid, and 173 ripping it, or snapping its neck over and over again. It also apparently has like advanced math and physics in its head, I guess, which is weird.
And apparently it survived 2 years in space as well.
And lastly, it's resistant to acid and corrosion, as it's able to resist 035's corrosion liquid as well as hydrochloric acid. It's also immune to the Plague Doctor's touch, which is just bogus. And he's also at least got a resistance to heat, fire, and radiation, as he survived on the sun apparently for a long time. Oh, and fire and radiation was kind of tested to be unaffected on his bones. Now we're going on to his stats. It apparently says that no material or natural material can hold him, and apparently he ripped open a bathysphere, which, you can see it right there. It also punched through its containment chamber, which was apparently made out of pure steel, and apparently wrecked through several cars and went through several houses when it was going after its victims. And it can also scale to building level based off of its fight with 682, and was able to take down 50% of its body mass. And lastly, his speed, but we're just going to go to the straight highest ones and not talk about the low end stuff. He was able to apparently have faster than light perception speeds, but this is talking about him reacting to people looking at his face rather than him actually perceiving it normally. So this is more kind of a spidey sense thing, as he is reacting afterwards, and his ability is giving him, the awareness, you know what I mean? So technically he shouldn't physically scale to this, although it doesn't really matter, as I'll explain later. What he should scale to is that he ran 200 miles in half an hour and broke the sound barrier. So based off of that, who would win in a fight? Personally, I would lean towards Toji, and let me explain. For one, both of them scale to hypersonic in terms of speed, but because of, the whole Maki scaling, Toji's able to kind of outmaneuver, the Shy Guy, obviously. And obviously, as well, the Shy Guy isn't really a smart fighter. He kind of just runs down his opponent and then just rips them apart. So Toji can definitely outmaneuver and outsmart him to the point where he can just cut him to pieces with the Soul Split Katana and then just be done with it. So yeah, this one's a Toji win. Next SCP we got is SCP-106, also known as the Old Man. And let's start off with his abilities. First, he's got corrosion inducement and organic manipulation, as he can secrete a mucus that can essentially corrode any solid object he touches. He's also got surface scaling or adhesivity. He can essentially walk on the walls of his containment chamber and has even been seen upside down. He also knows pressure points, so that, he doesn't kill you, apparently. That's just not right. He has longevity and self-sustenance, as he really only kills for fun and not to eat, and doesn't really eat. He has a limited berserker mode, where he'll just go on a killing spree and put people in his pocket dimension. He also has limited social influence, as he can just use his lack of activity or compliance to lure and prey, aka people. He has intangibility, so he can walk through pretty much any material, and direct damage wouldn't really affect him too much. He's also got portal creation and BFR, which is battlefield removal, if you didn't know. It allows him to create portals to his pocket dimension, so yeah. And of course he has dimensional travel, again because of his pocket dimension. And lastly, he can manipulate anything inside of his pocket dimension. He's basically like a god. He has extrasensory perception or enhanced senses, as he can apparently sense emotions, which is weird. He also has a form of regeneration based off of him being able to regenerate from having his neck snapped by 173 over and over again, which apparently happens to everyone. He also has non-physical interaction, so kind of like a ghost. He can just phase into stuff and just people to kill them. He has technology manipulation and light manipulation, as he's able to mess with the lights and cameras. He has adhesive manipulation, as he can secrete a mucus that covers his entire body, and it's also corrosive. And also he can shapeshift, as apparently his appearance varies, whatever that means. He also has enhanced dimensional travel through his corrosive liquid portals. He was able to use this to counteract Doctor Strange's sling portals. Yes, no, you heard me right. Doctor Strange, sling portal. He also has omnipresence, reality warping, void manipulation, time manipulation, matter manipulation, and, you know, all of these specifically within his dimension. Oh, and ceiling as well. And yes, I know it says presumably the red reality, but they're just kind of making guesses, so I'm not really including it. Though what I will include is that, well, apparently he did trap SCP-682 in his dimension once, but probably not permanently, obviously. Also, technically, he has a form of immortality in his pocket dimension as well. He has illusion creation and perception manipulation, as he has full control over those two. He also has creation, as he was able to completely create a researcher's apartment in its complete likeness down to the minute detail. And the life manipulation, as he can just prevent people from dying.
Going on, he's also completely immune to his own corrosive fluid, obviously, and shows no sign of pain when, well, inflicted with damage.
Now going to his stats, he should scale at the highest, like, small building level, as he is able to harm and even fought SCP-682 for like 5 hours straight. And technically, within his own, like, pocket dimension, he could scale higher, technically, but only within it, and we also don't really know how big his pocket dimension is, so we can't really give an estimate, so meh. And in terms of speeds, he should be able to keep up with 682, which puts him at supersonic plus type speeds. So, who would win between these two? If we're talking about a direct encounter, Toji most likely wins due to his superior speed and being able to bypass, you know, his normal regeneration with Soul Split Katana, as he hasn't really shown to be immune or even resistant to soul-based attacks based off of what I have already been stated before. Although, if he does trip up Toji or tries to use some mind games, there's a possibility he could trap Toji in his pocket dimension, and once he does that, Toji is pretty much screwed. So I'd say this is like a mid to high dip fight, depending on how things go, so, yeah. Next, going up against Toji is SCP-049, also known as the Plague Doctor. Of course, the Plague Doctor has peak physical human, you know, characteristics. He also has a form of immortality, apparently, and self-sustenance, so he doesn't really need to sleep or eat. Of course, going on to his main ability, where is his Death Touch. Basically, anything that he touches, as long as it's alive, will just instantly die as soon as he touches them. He also technically has pocket reality manipulation through his medical bag, as he just has like a bunch of devices and tools within the medical bag, and way more than he naturally should, some of them being like large as well. And he's also able to resurrect anyone that was killed by his touch through like surgical means and all that. He also has necromancy and biological manipulation. This is how he makes his, like, you know, zombies or whatever. He just kind of gets rid of their mental functions, which is a little weird, but, you know, gotta get rid of that pestilence, I guess. Oh, and also fusionism. He can just integrate new parts into, like, bodies because of his surgical knowledge, I guess. Continuing on, he also has superhuman durability and, again, immortality, but he was granted it by the brother's death, apparently. If you don't know, they're like these god people or something like that. And no, this isn't some extra stuff, that's literally it. That's all he pretty much has, when it comes to them at least. He also apparently has enhanced senses, specifically to sense the pestilence, whatever that might be. He also technically has acid inducement and corrosion, you know, stuff that has to do with his surgical procedures as well. And lastly, he's resistant to both pain and radiation, apparently. Going over to stats, physically he was able to destroy a desk and the framework of a bed, and apparently tore open someone, so yeah. In terms of speed, he was able to perception blitz some person, and should roughly keep up with 682 since he was able to dodge his attacks, which makes him Supersonic to Supersonic Plus. So who would win in a fight between these two? It would be Toji. Literally, Soul Split Katana would most likely possibly hurt his soul, but there's a possibility his immortality would just might edge out on in terms of that. Like, Soul Split Katana might not be able to kill people who are immortal, possibly, maybe. And if that's true, then technically Toji can't kill him, but he doesn't really need to, since he's much faster and physically stronger than him, that even if he had like a bunch of zombies, you know, he could just speed blitz the Plague Doctor before he's even able to do anything, so yeah. Next we got SCP-035, the Possessive Mask. It's got genius intellect because, yeah, it is sentient, and inorganic physiology because it's a mask. It's also able to manipulate pictures with information manipulation or whatever. It can just change pictures to whatever its current form is, which is interesting. He has acid manipulation, as you know, the mask itself secretes like a corrosive liquid. Blood manipulation, as it also secretes, you know, a corrosive blood that can also apparently make appendages so he can essentially attack with. Oh yeah, he can also possess you as well and kind of just completely overtake your mind and make you just brain dead, which is just amazing. Of course, he can also technically do this to, like, you know, mannequins, statues, and, like, you know, move them around or whatever, but of course they don't have minds, now do they? He has social influencing and is able to affect people mentally by just talking with them and stuff through his own intelligence, and is able to essentially make people basically go insane or even turn them into his mindless slaves just by talking to him. Wow, I don't want to be near this mask. He also has telepathy and can technically read your mind and just look through your memories to know things about you. And lastly, he has technological manipulation, as he's able to, well, kind of just mess with technology and even close his own containment, you know, cell door by his own accord. Now, who would win here? It would be Toji again, although granted, that's only if, like, if, you know, 035 already has a body, then if he aims directly at the face automatically, Toji could win and just insta-kill him just automatically with Soul Split Katana. But if he doesn't, and let's say aims at the midsection, then 035 would probably just enter his thoughts, mess with him, and then just take him over and make him, you know, possess him, I guess. So, yeah, I would say this is a low difficulty fight with the possibility of Toji getting possessed, which is just not a cool thing to think about. The next few SCPs are going to be really easy to talk about, so I'm just going to rapid fire them, and, you know, I'll just talk a little bit about them, so yeah, let's go. SCP-1048 is essentially a little bear that also makes other bears out of just random stuff that's just around. Even if he had help from his little bear friends that he has already made before, he would still get cut up and diced up by Toji. SCP-939 are essentially dog-like creatures that can mimic other people's voices. They usually come around in packs, but that wouldn't really help them, as, you know, again, they would just get sliced to pieces by Toji being faster and stronger. Next, we got SCP-860-2, which is like a forest guardian. And yeah, no, this one also gets chopped up by Toji pretty easily as well. It's basically just a giant, like, forest animal, so he should take it down pretty easily. And lastly, we got SCP-682, and if any of you know this guy, Toji is screwed, like, completely. 682 is just going to be able to adapt to literally anything that Toji does, and then just beat him outright. Like, Toji's best bet is literally just to run away, because base 682 isn't really that fast, so he can definitely run away from him. And, yeah, that's pretty much it for Toji and the SCPs. If you like this video, just give it a like. If you also want to see more videos like this, subscribe. You can also go down to my Patreon and support me if you really want to. I also technically have a Cash App as well, so if you really want to support me, you can do it there. There's also memberships where you can become a member and get like a little cool like logo next to your name when you're on live streams and stuff, and in my comments. It goes a long way. It does actually help me, and let's be honest, I'm kind of broke right now, or at least as of this video, but meh. And lastly, if you guys have any suggestions for like versus matchups that you want me to do, whether it be JJK related, SCP, or even Ben 10 related, or even other verses that I technically haven't or have talked about before, just go ahead and tell them in the comments, and I might actually think about doing it. And anyway, I'm glad you guys all watched it, and see you next video.